The psychology of technology. How it shapes our minds. Have you ever wondered why we can't take our eyes off our phones, even when we know we're wasting time? Or why those tiny notifications are so irresistible, compelling us to open them immediately? Technology doesn't just change how we work or entertain ourselves, it silently shapes our minds every day. And perhaps the scariest part is that we often don't even realize it. Let's explore how technology impacts our psychology, behavior, and lives through intriguing stories, scientific studies, and fascinating perspectives. Technology and how it shapes daily habits. Imagine your typical morning. The alarm rings, and you grab your phone, not just to turn off the alarm, but to check notifications, emails, messages, social media. Everything seems to be waiting for you, urging you to engage immediately. This doesn't happen by chance. From the colors and sounds to the way notifications pop up, everything is designed to grab your attention. When Steve Jobs introduced the first iPhone in 2007, he didn't just revolutionize communication, he transformed the way we live. But here's the bigger question: are we controlling technology? Or is it controlling us? According to a study from the University of California, the human brain isn't wired to handle the constant stimulation of modern technology. This overstimulation is creating habits that we're often unaware of. A prime example is the dopamine effect, a chemical in the brain associated with pleasure and rewards. Every time you receive a notification, dopamine is released, making you feel satisfied. This sensation explains why we often check our phones, even when there's nothing important. Marshall McLuhan, a renowned communication theorist, once said, "The tools we shape then shape us." Technology isn't just a tool anymore, it has become an extension of ourselves, influencing how we think, act, and feel. Look at platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. They're not merely tools for connection, they're optimized to keep you engaged as long as possible. Scientists call this the micro-manipulation effect, where algorithms learn to understand you better than you know yourself. They know when you're likely to click, shop, or even when you're most susceptible to influence. A compelling example is Tristan Harris, a former designer at Google who left to advocate for ethical technology. Harris once said, "When technology is designed to capture your attention, you become the product." This raises a thought-provoking question. Are we truly free when using technology? Or are we merely players in a game created by big corporations? These impacts don't just stop at personal behavior, they deeply affect how we interact socially. How many times has your phone been on the table during dinner with friends? A single message or notification can pull your attention away from the conversation and onto your screen. Researchers call this fragmented attention. Instead of living in the moment, we constantly jump from one experience to another without fully enjoying any of them. Historically, concerns about technology aren't new. When the printing press became widespread in the 15th century, many feared it would make people lazy and diminish oral storytelling. But what's different in the 21st century is the speed and intensity of these changes. With over 7 billion smartphones in use worldwide, technology has become an inseparable part of daily life. To put it in perspective, the average person spends about 4 hours a day on their phone. That's over 60 days a year, nearly 2 months, just staring at a screen. Meanwhile, the time we spend with family, friends, and meaningful activities continues to shrink. The question is, how can we use technology more wisely? Psychologists suggest setting boundaries for yourself. For instance, spend at least 1 hour a day without any tech devices. Try engaging in activities like reading a book, taking a walk, or having a face-to-face conversation with loved ones. This not only helps you regain balance but also reminds you that real life isn't found on a screen. Technology is a double-edged sword. It can enhance our quality of life, but it can also trap us in an endless cycle of stimulation and addiction. The key is to be aware of how it's shaping your habits and make smarter choices. Ultimately, what brings us true happiness isn't the number of notifications or likes, but the genuine moments we live and share with each other. The impact of technology on focus and learning. In a world that's always connected, focus has become a precious asset. But what happens when this asset is worn down daily by our devices? A famous experiment at Stanford University revealed that people who frequently multitask on tech, like working while checking messages or social media, are actually far less effective than those who focus on a single task. Surprisingly, the multitasking group not only worked slower but also struggled to switch between tasks. Stanford professor Clifford Nass remarked, "Multitasking doesn't just hurt performance, it's damaging our cognitive abilities." A Microsoft study found that the average attention span has dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 to just 8 seconds in 2022, shorter than a goldfish. And what's to blame? Our phones, computers, and constant notifications. Imagine a peaceful morning. You start working, but within minutes, a phone notification pops up. You check it, thinking it'll only take a second, but you're soon caught in a never-ending stream of information. When you return to your work, your brain needs time to refocus, and this cycle repeats over and over. Technology doesn't just steal our time, it changes how our brains process information. According to Nicholas Carr, author of the best-selling book, The Shallows, what the internet is doing to our brains. Skimming through online content is reducing our ability to read deeply and think critically. Carr explains, we're becoming like surfers, jumping from one wave to another, rather than divers who plunge into the depths of knowledge. This issue is also evident in education. Teachers report that today's students are more easily distracted than previous generations. A Princeton University study found that handwritten note-taking, although slower, is more effective than typing. Writing by hand forces students to process and summarize information on the spot, helping the brain retain knowledge longer. In contrast, typing often becomes mindless transcription, which discourages deep thinking. However, this doesn't mean technology is entirely harmful. The way we use it makes all the difference. Albert Einstein once said, "Technology isn't the problem, how we use it is." Apps like Pomodoro Timer or Forest are designed to help users maintain focus by encouraging continuous work for fixed periods, with short breaks in between. While technology offers many benefits, it also presents unprecedented challenges. Learning to use it wisely is essential to preserving focus and learning ability, two critical factors for success in today's temptation-filled world. Concerns about technology across the ages. Worries about technology's impact aren't new. Looking back to the 5th century BCE, the philosopher Socrates warned that writing would erode human memory. He believed relying on written records would weaken our ability to remember and reason. When the printing press emerged in the 15th century, fears persisted. People worried that reading would isolate individuals and diminish community storytelling. But while these concerns weren't entirely unfounded, they couldn't stop the march of new technology. Books became a bridge for spreading knowledge, and writing preserved culture for generations. Fast forward to the 20th century, and the arrival of television, and later, the internet, sparked similar fears. A 1959 article in the New York Times claimed television would destroy children's imaginations. Yet today, we know that television can also share inspiring stories and expand worldviews. The story of technology is always one of balance. While it brings great opportunities, it also raises ethical and societal challenges. The key question is whether we can learn from history to ensure technology serves humanity rather than the other way around. Technology and social psychology. When Mark Zuckerberg founded Facebook in 2004, he dreamed of a fully connected world. Indeed, social media has helped billions stay in touch, share information, and build communities. But are we paying a psychological price for this convenience? Studies show that social media creates a dopamine loop, a phenomenon that makes us addicted to likes, comments, and shares. These small actions trigger dopamine, bringing fleeting satisfaction but leaving us wanting more. This explains why many feel bored or disappointed when their posts receive little attention. Jean Twenge, a psychologist, has extensively studied Generation Z, those who grew up with smartphones. She found this generation faces unprecedented rates of depression and anxiety. Part of the cause is the pressure from social media, where lives are edited and curated to appear perfect. Twenge warns that, if mismanaged, social media could pose a significant threat to mental health. However, social media also opens up new opportunities. Nelson Mandela once said, "Technology is powerful, but its true value lies in how it uplifts human dignity." In reality, social media has become a tool to spread inspiring stories. From social campaigns to global movements for change, The important lesson is to learn how to control technology rather than letting it control us. Tools like time limits and do not disturb modes can help us strike a balance between the digital and real worlds. Technology and personal perspective. How to master the digital life. When we examine the relationship between humans and technology, one undeniable truth emerges. Technology is becoming an inseparable part of our lives. But the key question is, are we using technology, or is it using us? Let me share a story. A graphic designer friend of mine, talented in his craft, found his life completely dominated by technology. From waking up to endless notifications, working non-stop on his computer, and entertaining himself with online platforms, he had no real downtime. Despite always being busy, he felt unfulfilled and anxious. One day, he decided to change by setting phone usage limits and dedicating one day a week to disconnecting. Within months, not only did his mental health improve, but his creativity and productivity also soared. This story isn't unique. A study by the Pew Research Center found that 70% of Americans admit they can't live without their phones. This highlights how technology has become more than a tool, it's a dependency. A form of addiction that's hard to notice. Sherry Turkle, a sociologist at MIT, wrote in her book, Alone Together, that technology promised to connect us, but it's making us lonelier than ever. Family meals have shifted from conversations to everyone staring at screens. Direct relationships are being replaced by brief chats through texts or emojis. This creates an invisible distance between people, even when they're physically together. So, how can we reclaim control of our digital lives? Here are a few practical approaches. Establish regular, disconnect habits. Dedicate specific times each day or week to being completely tech-free. This not only helps you relax but also enhances focus and connection with the real world. For example, successful entrepreneurs like Jack Dorsey, former Twitter CEO, start their mornings with meditation or journaling instead of reaching for their phones. Use technology as a tool, not a dependency. Technology is powerful, but it's most effective when you control it. Turn off notifications and check your devices at set times instead of letting them interrupt you. Apps like Screen Time, iOS, and Digital Wellbeing, Android, can help you track and limit usage. Leverage technology for personal growth. Not all technology is harmful. Apps like Duolingo, Coursera, or podcasts can expand your knowledge. The key is distinguishing between meaningful consumption and mindless scrolling. Foster genuine connections. While technology enables communication, it can't replace real-life bonding. Spend time meeting friends and family or joining community activities to create more meaningful experiences. Jean-Paul Sartre once said, "Man is not defined by what he owns but by how he lives." This sentiment remains true in the digital age. Owning the latest gadgets or accessing popular platforms doesn't matter as much as how you use them to enrich your life. A positive perspective on technology. Let's not forget that technology has also brought immense value. It enables unlimited learning, connects us with people across the globe, and even changes the world. From spreading knowledge through online platforms to crowdfunding for charitable causes, technology opens doors previously unimaginable. The question for each of us is, how can we use technology more wisely? This isn't just a technical issue but an ethical and psychological one. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, technology will not save us from ourselves, only self-awareness will. By understanding how technology influences our psychology, habits, and society, we can take steps to regain control. It's not about rejecting technology but about using it in ways that truly enrich our lives. The key to a better digital life lies in balance, awareness, and intentionality, so that we remain the masters, not the servants, of our creations. Conclusion. In the end, technology is neither inherently good nor bad. Its impact on our lives depends on how we choose to interact with it. We have the power to shape our digital experiences by cultivating mindfulness, setting boundaries, and using technology as a tool for growth rather than a source of constant distraction. By being aware of the ways technology influences our behavior and decisions, we can ensure that it enhances our well-being instead of diminishing it. Ultimately, the key to a balanced life in the digital age lies in mastering the art of digital mindfulness. As we navigate this fast-paced, technology-driven world, Remember that real fulfillment doesn't come from the number of likes or notifications, but from the genuine moments we create and the connections we nurture in the real world. Let's reclaim our time, our focus, and our happiness by making technology work for us, not against us. If you found this video insightful, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share your thoughts with us in the comments. How do you manage your relationship with technology? We'd love to hear your perspective. Your feedback helps us grow and create content that matters to you. Stay tuned for more thought-provoking discussions and tips on living a balanced life in today's digital age. Thank you for being a part of our community.